Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Fast Football and Philosophy with me, Dr. Adam Foxon.
And me, Professor Jack Cunningham.
And together we combine philosophy and football and are guaranteed to make you the smartest in the pub. So, Jack, last week we were looking at, we completed our two-parter on hyper-reality versus hyper-collectivism, and we kind of suggested that you should go watch your Sunday League team and you should go watch your Saturday League team, and you should watch proper football, go and play proper football as opposed to all this bloody esports, FIFA, all that kind of nonsense.
Yeah. And I think that's absolutely right, isn't it? You've got to immerse yourself in life, and the more we withdraw from it into hyper reality, I think the less rich we will become as a species of animal called a human being.
And actually, today, then, we're actually looking at a specific way of being a human being, right? Kind of exemplifying what it means to be a human and a proper human and all that kind of stuff. And so we're going to be looking today at specifically Harry Kane, but other footballers as well. And we're going to be looking at a Roman philosophy, really, I suppose.
Greek and Roman
philosophy, and Stoicism.
Yeah.
And so before we kind of get into the football and stuff, then tell us what Stoic, because actually it's one of those really common things now. We have these a modern Stoic and all this kind of stuff, and people are bringing out their books, aren't they? And how we should all be Stoics now and repress our emotions. And have you seen the film Equilibrium?
No, I haven't. I have
It's
heard of it.
It's an amazing film. I think he's like the perfect Stoic, but I mean, maybe that's just me. So what is Stoicism?
Okay, well, the first thing we should get out of our head is the modern idea that's bandied around when someone says, oh, he's very stoic or she's being very stoical about it. We kind of think that it's someone who is suppressing all their emotions, stiff upper lip, but slightly puritanical and all those things. Get that out of your head. In fact, there was a 3rd century, I think, Greek Stoic called Chrysippus. He died of laughter at his own joke. Do you want to hear this joke? Right? So he watches a donkey eating figs, and then he says, why don't you wash that down with wine? Falls on the floor and dies of laughter. So maybe you had
to be there, Jack.
You had to be there. Anyway, Stoicism it started out in around about 300 with a philosopher called Zeno in Athens, and he is called Stoicism because he did public teaching. He practiced public teaching in a place called the Stoa Polykai in Athens, which is the painted porch, and he's there and he's telling people all about his philosophy, and he gets a great following for centuries after that. Stoicism becomes the philosophy of the Hellenistic Roman world. Okay, we even get in the end an emperor, Marcus Aurelius. Do you watch Gladiator? Haven't you?
Yeah.
Do you remember him? He's Russell Crowe's mentor, wise old emperor, giving out his Stoic advice. So that's kind of that's who we're talking about here. Stoicism says the universe operates on reason, and therefore, if you want to have a good life, you must use reason. Okay, so that means you don't to things like errors, insecurities, regrets, all of those things you put aside and you reason everything. And in order to do that, you argue, not a big row, but an argument. What's the truth? And once you've established the truth, you're going to live a calmer, a more peaceful, or tranquil. You're going to be chill. You're going to be chill. They call it eudaimonia. Okay, eudaimonia is Greek for chilled out. Okay, you are unhappy and contented, and you're going to only do that if you reason things out. Okay, so that's the Stoics. Basically, they're almost kind of like, that what the closest we come to them is, those old films you see of like the Buddhist master. It's that kind of tranquility that, nothing excites you.
Kind of monk.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's kind of where the popular culture then comes in, where they're all kind of super repressed and they don't show emotions. Monks don't show emotions, and that kind of stuff.
Exactly. But the more you read about the individual ones that we know about now, they weren't like that at all. But they just really one of the I heard recently because there is a new 21st century thing now about resurrecting Stoicism.
Big time,
Guys on the radio talking about this. I think he'd just written a book. I can't remember his name. He frequently takes a sausage for a walk. Right? right? And the reason why he does that is because he suffers from anxiety and insecurity. Right? He takes a sausage on a walk and he's going to look like he's going to look ridiculous.
Yeah.
But after a while, and he sees people looking at him, commenting and laughing, maybe shouting out at him, he realizes it doesn't affect him. This is a slow process. But by the time he gets home, God knows what state his sausage is in.
It reminds me. Have you seen that Bible video? And there's these people driving past, and there's this old guy. I think he's going into the pub, and he's got a llama, and the shout out going, "Hey up, mate, where are you going with that llama?" And he just shouts back, "It's a fucking alpaca."
Are you idiot?
You idiot! So good.
Yeah, I bet you he was a Stoic. I bet you he was a Stoic.
That's interesting. So I always thought that eudaimonia was about flourishing, was about making us the best that we can be.
Yeah, it is, yeah. And so the first phase in that would be to live the rational life, okay? And eudaimonia would be that the chilled person becomes the most... You would make the most of all your talents and skills then. Because, if you just kind of think about this for a few seconds, one of the biggest obstacles that stands in front of your skills and your flourishing ability is insecurity and is anxiety and is beating yourself up about errors and that you've made. And I'm no good anyway, am I? Next thing you know, you're packing it all in and engaging in hyper reality.
So I don't. Yeah. I mean, that's what I did for a while, I suppose. But then I guess so. Really, we've got two avenues then, because we've got one avenue whereby you might you might try and go that Stoic way and be contemplative and reflective about who you are as a person and kind of how you're going to improve yourself.
Yeah.
Or you can tell yourself a lie, and you can serve that lie, and you can live in bad faith, like we were discussing, and you can kind of create a persona, create the image of you being this kind of like a robot, like I like an Erling Haaland robot, and that kind of thing. And I guess we'll be talking about that a little bit later on. I don't want to keep our powder dry for that, but really, and I think it's a bit unfortunate, and I think it's a bit lazy. But Harry Kane has this real, everyone knows he's an amazing footballer. You don't become an England captain, you don't break all the records that he's broken. I think he's England's record top goal scorer. You don't get that. You don't get those kinds of accolades for not being good at football. But he's got this real presence, this real reputation for being a little bit thick, right?
Yeah.
I think it's because of the way he speaks and the way
He's got that deep voice.
He's got that deep voice and things. Yeah, he's quite slow and considered with the way he speaks. And so he gets a lot of stick online for that.
Yeah.
So he's not kind of a paragon, if you like, of rationality. So what kind of reason are we talking about here?
Okay, I think if you look at what the Stoics said about aging, I think it really shines a light on Harry Kane. In fact, I think the secret of his success is that he is a Stoic, whether he knows it or not.
Secret Stoic.
He's a secret Stoic, right? Now, bear with me a second. There is a big argument in ancient philosophy about aging. Aristotle says it's terrible. You decay physically, but also morally. Plato says, on the other hand, no, it's good, because you lose your earthly desires like lust and greed and all those, and you can kind of concentrate then on the higher things.
Someone needs to tell like Rupert Murdoch or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, the Stoics come into this, and they've got something very interesting to say about it. They say that as you get older, your life goes from external to internal. All right? But it is a mistake to think that you're less active. Your activity is a different activity now. It is an intellectual activity more than a robust, energetic activity. Now, I'm going to cheat a little bit here. I'm going to talk about Cicero, right? Because Cicero isn't exactly a Stoic, but he's heavily influenced by the Stoics, and he writes a book about getting older. So he writes this book and he uses this great metaphor, and he says people think you get less active when you get older are making a mistake because they don't know what activity is. Consider this. There's a ship, right? And on this ship, there is a pilot of the ship, and then there's all the other sailors, right? Some sailors are running at the mast, some are running down the gangpipes, some are at the pumps, but all really, really active. The pilot of the ship is on the tiller. He is the most active man on the ship. Sure. He is steering the ship. It's going where he goes. He's using his brain. He's using his knowledge. He's probably using the stars. He knows. And so he is much more active than any of those men. And consider this as well. Great quote from Marcus Aurelius. And I just want to compare this with a quote from Harry Kane, right? Give me a second. Oh, let me just give you this one from Cicero. It is not by muscle speed or physical dexterity that great things are achieved, but by thinking, force of character, and judgment. You've got to love that, Adam.
And actually, he's the captain. That character, that thing that makes him him, that is that indefinable quality that only captains have, and that's why they're captains.
He's the pilot of the ship.
He's the pilot of the ship.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So while people like Aristotle are struggling against old age, the Stoics are embracing it. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, remember him chatting away to old Russell? He says, "You must become an old man in good time if you wish to be an old man long." Now listen to what Harry Kane says in an interview. He says, "In football, you have to grow old quickly."
Yes.
So he says this is practically a paraphrase of Marcus Aurelius saying, that you become an old man early. Because we're not talking about hobbling around. We're talking about the inner world, the thought, the thinking, the wisdom. And that's how he's playing football now. You know this more than any. You were talking about this the other day.
Yeah.
About how he's changed his game.
Massively. And so actually, and just before we get onto that, I mean, this makes total sense because we as fans, we as consumers of football, we always ascribe this kind of like a level of maturity to them that a lot of them might not have yet because they're still quite early in their careers. So I might look at like and actually. And Jack Grealish say, right, he's I don't know what age he is, maybe kind of 28, 29, that kind of age, right, kind of approaching the twilight of his career, kind of getting towards that. Like, he's still very much in his prime, but then he'll go out drinking in Ibiza and he'll go out there, and he's a young man.
Yeah.
He's very young actually.
Yeah.
And so growing up old in football terms, that's the key here, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so Harry Kane here, I mean. He plays as a forward and he scores loads of goals. He's I think this calendar year he's scored over 50 goals. Like it's insane the kinds of numbers he's getting, and there seems to be a trend of footballers nowadays who score more goals post 30 years of age than they do prior to them being 30.
Yeah.
Because of science and how their careers are extended because physically, but also mentally they're so much more equipped. They have a lot more nous to understand the game, and that's what Harry Kane is kind of that's kind of how he epitomizes his approach, I suppose, in that you see Harry Kane now and it annoys every single England fan to high heaven because he seems to be the most hardworking because he's always dropping deep and he's doing this and he's doing that, but he's doing it at the right times. He knows when he can come back and make that tackle and then get back up the other side of the pitch. And actually, if you look at his stats and things, he's probably not running as much as he was earlier.
Yeah.
But he's just doing it at the right times, and he's got that little bit of nous now, hasn't he? He knows when to drop off. He knows when to, and his passing range. He gets the ball on the centre circle spot, and he's whacking it out wide into the left and right channel. That's a good 40-yard pass, and it lands on the two-pence piece, and because only he can do it.
Yeah.
Because he's got that experience, he's got that wiliness, he's got that nous, and it's that kind of footballing intelligence, that footballing wisdom.
And you can see Stoicism in it. He's going from a robust activity to internal activity to activity which is much more valuable, actually. Like Cicero said, this kind of activity in your later life is much more valuable than when you were young and you were flying all over the place, because this is really kind of informed by reason.
It makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, so there's quite a few other examples of this, and when we talk about starting off external and becoming more internal, we can apply that to the dimensions of the bloody pitch, right?
Yeah.
So you have, say, for instance, Ryan Giggs, one of the most celebrated. He might still be the most celebrated. I'm not entirely sure. He's got so many trophies. He's got a trophy cabinet that many just can only dream of, right? Yeah. Horrible person, but a great footballer, right? So he starts out on the left wing. And he is rapidash. Like, he can move, right? And he's taking people on left, right, centre. He's scoring loads of goals, getting lots of assists. Then he starts to have to do all his yoga, and he starts to like take care of his diet, and just to extend his career. And then he moves inside and he starts playing as a centre attacking midfielder. And now all of a sudden he's playing passes, and he's in that hole that Sartre plays in, right? And he's very much kind of he becomes more creative. Then his legs completely, not only he just loses his legs, right? But he's not lost the football. Jamie Carragher once said, really recently, what does he say? He says something like, he says, "Stop the football before." What is it? It's like stop the football before leave football before football leaves you.
Right.
Right. But this is the thing with the best players: the football never leaves them.
Carragher is Aristotelian. The other best players, the Stoics, they are saying no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And this is the thing. And so Ryan Giggs, he becomes this centre attacking midfielder, and then he drops into mid. Then he kind of drops into this kind of 5 role where he's a six. He becomes a 6 role where he kind of sits in this. He kind of sits behind the midfielders, and he sprays. He just sprays the ball around all like left, right, centre, because he knows where the ball needs to go. He knows how to dictate the pace of the game. It's that kind of Andrea Pirlo, deep line playmaker role. That's kind of what he does.
Yeah.
And only he can do it. Because again, I remember they had to bring Paul Scholes out of retirement. Because Ryan Giggs is eventually he just couldn't do it anymore. Like eventually your body just and his body just gives up. I mean, it doesn't matter what the mind can do, the body does eventually give up. So they have to bring all the people out of retirement so that they can play this kind of midfield playmaker role.
Yeah.
Wayne Rooney did exactly the same thing. He starts off up top, and then he eventually just kind of gets kind of lower and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper on the pitch. Until he eventually starts playing this kind of solely playmaker role.
Yeah.
They start from the outside of the pitch, the kind of the external parts of the extremities of the pitch, and they become more and more internal as they go.
1 minute, the earliest part of their career, they're running up the mass and they got their hands on the pumps. And the end, they're pilot on the tiller. They're doing that. Now, you were talking to me about, you were contrasting all this with Ronaldo, and I think he's not being stoical about his later career. Incidentally, Harry Kane is on record as saying, the end of my career will be full of trophies. Very confident of that, because he's a stoic. Yeah,
you're right. And so Ronaldo is potentially very similar to the Zlatan of earlier episodes. I mean, he's kind of created this image of himself whereby he fully truly believes that he was destined for greatness, because the things that he was able to do earlier are all that he needs. He still very much believes that he can take on 3 or 4 players and bang it in the top bin, right?
Yeah.
He fully believes he can do that. He can't, and all of the numbers, and if anyone has 2 eyes, anyone who's got 1 eye can see that he can't do that on the pitch anymore. Except Ronaldo. He refuses to acknowledge the fact that age, and at least physical age, can limit what he can do, because he fully believes that he's able to keep doing the same thing that he's been able to do. He hasn't. I remember once, actually, and it was a great piece of advice. I was going for a professional qualification, and it was a teaching qualification, and someone said to me that a teacher in higher education had been teaching in higher ed for about 20-25 years, right? And they went for this and they went for this qualification, and they didn't get it. It's like kind of like a recognition thing, and they said, "Well, I've got 25 years of experience in doing this," and they said, "Have you? Or have you got 1 day's worth of experience that you've done for 25 years?" And it's his thing, isn't it? Because he's not reflecting on his practice. He's not reflecting on what makes him a good teacher, how he can change and how he can adapt to his students or whatever. The same with Ronaldo. Ronaldo does not adapt. Ronaldo does not see the relevance of adaptation. Yeah. He's kind of like the kind of anti-evolutionist, right? Like he doesn't have to evolve with the team. The team has to revolve around him. Revolve and evolve around him. To make sure it gets the best out of him. And so he's kind of the antithesis. He's the complete opposite to Stoicism.
It reminds me of that American tech billionaire Brian Johnson, who's he gives himself transfusions of his plasma from his son on one occasion, and he's spending millions of pounds on diet, and he thinks he thinks he's got it beat. He will be aging, And this is just utterly delusional, you know.
And this is why, for me, why Messi's the best player of all time.
Yeah.
At least you know of this generation, very much so, because he's changed his game.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and actually Messi was, and funnily enough, and actually this might mean that Messi's an alien, but because he does adapt his game and he has evolved as a player once he's lost his legs and things, but he's always being able to kind of drop deep and get the ball. He's always being able to get the ball. Pep Guardiola once defended him because he was walking around the pitch so much. People were going, he doesn't press, he doesn't get in position, he doesn't do anything. It's because he's watching the game. He's analysing all the players. He's seeing who can operate on the half turn, and then all of a sudden, and actually there's this great bit where he scores a goal in El Clasico against Real Madrid, and he gets the ball on the halfway line, right? And he has like a bit of a give and go with, I can't remember who it was. It might be Busquets or Xavi or Iniesta, whoever it is. And it's like an explosion. He just goes like bang, and like he has this 1-2, and he goes, and he's like he jinks past 1, he jinks past 2, he jinks past 3, he goes past 4, he fakes a shot, goes past 5, goes past 6, and then he hits it in the bottom corner, and you think, how did he do that? And it's because he's been taking his time, analysing all the elements of the game, and then just at the right time, that kairotic time, that opportune time, he bang, that's it. And that's, you know, and it's one of the best goals anyone's ever scored.
It's true. It doesn't come from nowhere. And I remember listening to Roy Keane criticise him for that very thing, that he doesn't do enough midfield. The only thing he does is score, but they don't come from anywhere. Cicero is right that you know, that this is, just because you're not running around doesn't mean you're not active. He is active. He is active. He's internally active. He's stoically active.
So that's so interesting to me. So really, that Jack. I remember I was doing some PhD work, right? And my dad's a ground worker. He works in dirty water. He works in like sewage and things. And he came home from work one day and he said, "Oh Adam, you look a bit tired." I said, "Oh yeah, I've been really struggling with this epistemology, really struggling with this kind of theories of knowledge and things." And he said, "Oh yeah, that does sound hard. That does sound really hard." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "How about your day, Dad?" He went, "Yeah, well, I've just been waiting for other people's shit." And I thought, yeah, maybe he's got a harder job, but actually, let's flip it. I've got the harder job, haven't I?
Of course,
because I'm thinking about stuff. I'm being stoic, right?
Everyone knows academics work harder than everybody else
in our ivory towers.
Yes, yeah.
Oh dear.
And I'll tell you another reason, Adam, why I know that Harry Kane is a stoic, right? Yeah. You might not know this, but his dad, Pat Kane, is from Galway, from a fella.
Oh, of course he is.
Letterfrack in Galway, which means Harry Kane could have qualified to play for Ireland. Foolishly in his youth, he obviously made a rash decision and signed up for England. But he's stoical about it. He doesn't moan. You don't see him moaning now. He's very stoical about the whole thing.
He could have led you to group stage glory.
He knows that. He knows that in his heart, but he's not going to get upset. He's not going to get upset about that, Adam. Because he's a stoic.
I don't want to incur the wrath of Roy Keane, but I don't think any Englishman has ever regretted not playing for Ireland. Anyway, we actually have some news, Jack, don't we? Because this is the penultimate episode of the season.
Yeah, it is.
How do you think it's gone? Let's be stoic. Let's reflect. Let's contemplate.
Exactly.
How do you think this season's gone?
Shun insecurities.
So it's gone really well.
Terrible.
I think it's. I mean, bearing in mind we are not technologically gifted. We're not philosophically gifted.
That's very true. But we enjoy it. That's the way
we do enjoy it. Yeah, and whether or not people enjoy listening to us is a different matter entirely, I suppose.
Yeah.
But they seem to.
Yeah.
Our following has grown exponentially, actually. But not enough. We had a goal. We had a goal of 100 followers, and we're not quite there yet. By Christmas, and we're not quite there yet. And so this is a bit of a call to arms, really, isn't it? We want our followers, our loyal followers, to kind of batten down the hatches a little bit and really get all hands on deck to kind of extend the boating metaphor. I don't know what I'm doing. But we need people to kind of share this podcast. We need people to like it, to review it, follow it. We're going to stick it on YouTube as well. We're going to stick the entire first season onto YouTube. So please kind of do the same there. Like it, follow it, whatever you do on YouTube. I don't know what you do on YouTube again. We didn't do any of this stuff, did we? We didn't research any of this stuff. We just off the dome, isn't it, Jack? It's off the dome. And so we actually have something to say for our very final episode of season 1. It's going to be it's going to be an episode all around English traditions and why we never win the World Cup, because we don't have the winter break. And actually but actually, does that really matter if we have our traditions and we hold fast to our traditions?
We'll see what philosophy has to say about it.
What philosophy has to say about it. And also, there's something extra special about that episode. Ooh. It's going to be released. I can put the drum roll in, Jack. I'll let you post edit. There's something very exciting about it, and we need people to listen in. It's going to be on Boxing Day. We're going to release it on Boxing Day. It's a Boxing Day special. Although it's not a special, it's the final episode in series 1. In series 1, season 2 will be coming out kind of early next year, but we'll give some more details on that, because we're going to be working on our social media channels. Exciting times ahead for Fast Football and Philosophy.
Definitely. And if you want to tell your friends to listen to season 2, tell them to start with season 1, and they'll be all ready in January to kick into season 2, and they'll be primed, and they'll have a sufficient philosophical understanding of the universe.
Yeah, you do need that. It's kind of like going to your first year at university, where you kind of have to learn the ropes before we can really go to the really complex philosophy in an episode in season 2.
Season 2 is going to be second year at university. We'll work you through till you get to PhD stage.
I don't think we've got that in us, Jack, to be honest.
No, don't be unstoical now, Adam.
Well, there is that. Goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.